We talked about connecting and shaping data, and we concluded on it yesterday. Today we're going to continue from there. We're going to look at. I want to believe everybody did the assignment of bringing the data in, like I mentioned yesterday. Today I'm going to be fast. Please, if you have questions, right, just help me write down your questions so that I can cover a lot today. Help me write down your questions. We can ask the questions at the end of the class, except it is very important, right? I have a lot to talk about today. Today, I want to talk about data model, and I want to finish on data model today so that by next class, we have a good foundation already to build on DAX and all of that, right? Data analysis expression, right? So please, please, if you have questions, just jot your questions down. If you're going to forget, you can just put them on the WhatsApp group. I'll look at the WhatsApp group afterwards, and I'm going to pick and answer the questions from there. All right, thank you. All right, like I said, I want to believe everybody has, let me apply these changes. I want to believe everybody has, we've all brought in our data. I want to make a few changes on this data, right? I want to make a few changes, and there's one more data that I want to bring in, and we'll be good to move on, right? Awesome, right? So first of all, right, we'll look at let's go to our data view. We'll look at the customer table, right? The customer table, right? So we have the index column that we created, right? We have the customer key column. I'm going to remove the index column. It's not really needed. We just created it for the classic. So I'm just going to delete that column. All right, I'm going to delete that column. All right, I'm going to also delete the first name column, right? It's also not needed, just for class explanation sake that I created it, right? I hope we all created all of these columns, right? I'm going to remove that column as well. Right, if you look at it, my dates, my birthday and start day, they've sorted back to the long name format. So I'm just going to select both of them. I'm going to select this. I'm going to convert it back to short dates. I told you I showed us this yesterday. Convert it back to short dates. I'm going to click on the last name.
I'm not seeing your Power BI. I'm seeing only your Teams.
Why are you not seeing my Power BI? I'm sharing my whole screen. Can everybody see my Power BI?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Huh?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
But please,
so why are you seeing my?
Please,
talk to me.
How do you just get your data to the query view to show immediately? I click on mine, it doesn't. So usually I go to maybe transform data, but that I don't think that's what you did.
Well, I'm in the data view. The data view. Just click on the data view.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Can I continue?
Yes, please. Thank you.
All right, so I'm just going to change this as well to short dates so that we can move on. That's fast. Month, marital status, single, okay. Gender, that's fine. Dates, okay. We're going to do a bit of transformation. Total children, educational level, user ID. Okay, so let me transform the data a little bit so that we can deal with that fully. So I'm going to go to transform. All right, so I'm going to go to transform. So here I'm going to convert this to what's it called now? Init cap. Right, capitalize each word. Awesome. What else do I want to do there? All right, let me see.
Mr. Shehu, please, I can't see your screen.
Hey, let me stop sharing and reshare. I'm resharing now. Give it a minute or two. You will not see. If you can't see it, it will show up. Right. What are we doing here again? Okay. All right. So domain. I don't really need the domain column, right? So I can remove the domain column. Right. I want to add a. Yesterday we added a conditional statement. Can you remember? Home description and all of that, right? I want to do something on. I want to do similar stuff on annual income, right? On the annual income column, right? I hope we're paying attention. Please pay attention. I'm going to be moving a little bit faster today, right? So 1 minute, please. 1 minute. Sorry, I'm back. All right. So I want to work on the annual income column, right? I want to add a new column, and this column is going to tell me the income level of each of our customers, right? The income level of each of the customers, right? We want to know what their income level is, right? So to do that, I'm going to be writing a conditional statement. To do that, I'm going to be adding a conditional column. So I'm going to go to add column, right? I'm going to go add column. I'm going to go to conditional column. All right. So we're going to call this income level, right? And I'm going to come to if I say annual. If annual is greater than or equals to, that's what I'm going to use. Greater than or equals to 150,000, right? Give it very high. Are you following me? Right? We had another clause, right? If it is what? Greater than or equals to, if annual income is again greater than or equals to 100,000. All right, so we call this high, right? If it is greater than or equals to 50,000, call it average, right? And else, if it is not any of this, then we say it is what? It is low, correct? We okay that we should have a new column to what? To support what we have done. Can you see? Right? So that is that. As that. I hope we understood that. Please let me know if you're following me.
Sir, can you take that
Yes,
again, sir? Please, sir.
I don't want to repeat stuff. Please, I need you to pay
Please.
attention.
Yes, my network was misbehaving. Sorry, sir.
All right. All right. I hope everybody's paying attention now, right? We have a lot to do, right? So additional column, right? Additional column. Remember that what we want to do is to add a new column called income level, right? We want to add a new column called income level, right? So that column now, we give it a name and say income level. Are you following me? Now we're writing an if statement, right? I showed us this yesterday. We're writing an if statement. The if statement is basically a conditional statement. So we're saying that if the salary, if the annual income is greater than or equals to a particular value. Now I'm using this because I've gone through the data, right? Output very high, right? If you then want to do the same again, else if it is greater than or equals to 100,000, right? Output I, right? If it is greater than or equals to 50,000 now, right? We say average. And else, anyone that does not obey these three what conditions, right, is what? Low. Are you following? Right? So we have that. I hope we got that now.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Awesome. Awesome.
Should we do that now?
No. I just want you to pay attention. You can put it down so that we can continue. Yes. All right. So having done that, we can click on OK. Now, if I want you to pay attention to this, right? Just look at the statement that was used to generate that particular column. Look at it. Say equals to table.add column, right? This is just a comment remove column 4, right? Income level is the title now. Each if, right, income is greater than or equals to this, then this, else this. Can you see? So if you click on that, you can see everything here, right? This is the statement that what. So if you want to create a new column and you don't want to use that method, you can easily just copy this M code, right? Go to new column, create a new column, edit it, and it will create for you, right? So that is how to use M columns, right? That is how to use M codes, right? That is how to use M codes. Are you following me? I know that I'm fast, so I need you to keep up with me. But if I'm too fast, you can call me back, please.
Okay, sir.
Right? Yes. Right. So we're done with this table. This table is good as of now. All right. So we're done with that. Let's go to the products. Product category column is fine. Yeah, Product category column is fine. Product subcategory also is fine. Awesome. Let's go to the product table. The product table. Okay. Okay, so the product table, we want to look at some stuff here, right? I'm just going to go into transforming it. I think network is dealing with some people this night. Rain has been serious network challenge. All right, so we're in the product table. All right, so the product table. So the product key is fine. The product subcategory key is also fine, right? But here we want to I taught you how to extract data yesterday. I want to extract the data. I want to extract the SKU right from here. Okay, let's leave it. Let's move on. Let's not stress that. Product name is fine. Product model is fine. Product description is fine. Product color is fine, right? But if you come to product color, right, we want to see statistically how many unique product color do we have here, right? So you can come to these under transform, you can come to number column and say distinct you want to see distinct value, right? I'm going to select the column, right? I'm going to select distinct value, right? Can you see? It tells me that I have 10 distinct value in the product column. Are you following me? Now, if you look at it, this is supposed to be a measure. The old table is gone and it just gives me an aggregated function. This is what we call an aggregate function. We talked about it when we spoke about when we're in SQL, right? We talked about aggregated function. Aggregate functions are functions that takes multiple entries or multiple rows and return a singular value for you. An example of that would be count, sum, average, minimum, maximum, and so on and so forth, right? So we want to look at how to do all of that here. That's what we're trying to do. So if you look at it on that particular column, I was able to see, right, the distinct value. Sorry, I was able to see the distinct value from that column, right? We can also do, right, if I come to product cost, right, I can see the sum, right? I can see the total sum. Can you see? This is total sum of product cost. That's the total sum of product cost, right? So you can do a bit of statistics, right? If you come to transform, right, you'll see your statistical functions here. Sum, minimum, maximum, median, average, deviation, count value, and count distinct value. Makes sense, right? You can also perform some additions, some subtractions, and all of that, which we'll look at very soon, very, very soon, right? Also, you can see scientific functions, you can see absolute values, you can see power, that is square, raised to the power 2, that's square, cube, and power. Square root, exponent, logarithm base 10, or natural log, and factorial, right? You can see trigonometry as well, cosine, and all of that. Rounding of values, right, which we can use very soon, and to check if a value is even or odd, right? Let's look at it a bit more, right? I'm going to select these two columns, right? I'm going to round off their values, right? Let's round it down to round up. Do we want to round up? Okay, let's round down, sorry. Let's round to how many decimal places? To 2 decimal places, right? Let me show you that again so that you're not lost. Under the number column, remember I'm inside the transform. I'm not creating a new column. I'm inside the transform menu, right? So I've selected the 2 data. I go to rounding and I click on round, right? So when I select, I say to 2 decimal places. So you can give the number of decimal places you want the values to be, right? So that's settled. Are you following me? Product style, product size. Might not be needing the product size column, so we can delete the product size column. Okay, let's leave it. Let's leave the product size column. If you look at the product style, right? Look at the product style column. Are you following me? Right? You see that we have a mixture of values, right? We have 0 here. Can you see 0? This is male, man, or male or men. This is unisex, and this is women, right? So you're saying product style, this is for men, this is for unisex, and this is for women. But we also have 0 there, right? 0 is not a value that we need in that column, right? So what do? We can create a conditional statement. Or no, sorry, we can do a replace function, right? I can replace the value, right? I want to replace the value of zero. I want to replace the zeros with NA. So how do I do that? I go to replace. Can you see replace under any column, right? Still in the transform word column, under any column, you see replace. I'm going to just click on replace value, right? So what value am I finding? Value to find is 0, replace with what? With NA. Right, click on OK, right? The values will be created. So if you look at it again, you see that the 0 now NAs. Please let me know if you understood that. Please let me know if you understood that. Please let me know. Please let me know. Hello, please let me know.
Yes, we got it. We
Awesome.
At least the only thing is we are not doing it now. So
yes,
yes,
don't do it.
Okay.
Just watch the videos and redo, right? So that we can have a lot to cover, right?
Okay, sir.
So that's why I'm saying that we should take it. Just follow me. Are you following me? I need responses from people. Let me know if people are following me. Okay,
yes,
Madam
sir.
Olaide, talk to me.
Yes, we are following,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we are.
What do you say? Awesome. I trust you. All right. Now let's do a bit of calculation. Right. So we've done rounding. We want to look at, we've done statistics. I've showed you how to do statistics. I've showed you how to do rounding, right? Let me create another column. Let's say I want to create another column. And this time around, I want to give a 10% discount to the product price. So I want to say, I want to create a discounted price column, right? I want to create a discounted price column, right? That would give me values of 10% discount on my data, on my product price, right? Of course, product cost is how much it is costing us to buy this product. Product price is how much we're selling them. But this column, I want to generate a 10% discount on them. So what do? I'm going to go to add column. Are you following me? I go to add column. I go to I come to from numbers, right? Can you see? I come to from numbers. I go to standard, and I'm going to go to multiply, right? So you can see add, you can see multiply, you can see subtract, you can see divide with integer, modulo, percentage, and percentage off, right? So you can do a lot of calculations from here, right? I'm going to just go to multiply, right? So I'm going to say that I want to multiply the values, right? Enter a value and use values in the column. So I'm entering a value, right? I'm going to say I want to multiply by 0.9. Right. So basically, what that means is that 100% is 1, right? So if I remove 10% from, if I move 0.1 from 1, what do you have is 0.9. So what basically the discount is now the 0.9% of that value, right? Or the 90% of the value. That's what you have left. So if I click on that, let's see. Awesome. Can you see? So these values are what? 0.9%. So we can call it discounted price, right? I click on enter. Discounted price, right? So we just created a discounted price on that column, right? I'm going to round that column off, also round it to 2 decimal place, right? To 2 decimal place. And I think I am done with that column as well. Makes sense? Makes sense. Let me know. If you have questions, let me know. Let me know. I want to finish with all the tables by 8 o'clock so that we can start data modeling by 8. Any questions?
Sir,
Yes.
I thought the discount is 10%. Why
Yes,
are you
the
using
discount is-
0.9?
Yeah. So instead of doing I did the mathematics in an inverse way. That's basically what I did there. Right. So instead of calculating and saying calculate this, first of all, calculate 10%, then subtracting the 10% from the data. Right. What I'm just saying is that multiply the actual data by 90%, by 0.9, which is 90% of the data. Do you understand? So that's what we did there. All right. All right, so we can close and apply this column as well. I mean, that query is set to go. All right. Having said that, we brought in the returns table, so let's check the returns table. The returns should be fine. Yeah, we can change date to short date. Yes, ma'am.
Sorry, the discount.
Talk to me.
Okay, the discount price. Did you?
Talk to me. Talk to me. Talk to me, ma'am. Hello, is she there? Talk to me, ma'am. Can she hear me?
Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I can hear you. You joined on 2 devices. That's why you're echoing. So just continue. Talk to me, ma. Are you there?
Hello? Okay, sorry.
Yes, I
I'm
can hear
saying
you.
that when you're rounding up the table, did you deliberately create another? I thought you were just supposed to transform.
I didn't create another column. Did you create another column?
Yes, you did.
Oh, wow. I didn't notice that. Let me see. Oh, wow. I didn't see that. Okay, thank you. Thank you for pointing that out. I did. Can you see those are the mistakes that I told you about that can happen, right? Those are the mistakes so you have to be able to check what menu you are on before you perform that action. So now that I've created that, right, I can easily just remove that column by deleting that step from here, right? So I'm back to that. So I just click on the column and I go to transform and I go to round. And I go to 2. There's 2 decimal places. Thank you for paying keen attention, Madam Olakoju. You're doing well. Right. We go to home, close that. We're good. Right. So product is good. Product returns. Let's see, is returns good? All right, good. So we're working on returns now. The return table is fine. It's fine. Right. I want to go into the sales table. Let's see. All right. So on the sales table now, right, I want to see, right, I want to know if there are duplicated values there, right? Or yeah, I want to just see if there are duplicated values on that order number column, right? Can you see the order date? We have order date, we have stock date, we have order number, we have product key, we have the customer key, we have the territory key, we have the order line item and the ordered quantity, right? So how do I do that? Right, I can go to transform the data. That's the sales. I transform the sales data. I go to transform, right? I click on the order column And from statistics, I can check on count distinct value. It's coming up. All right, can you see the count? Can you see the count? Can you see the count? So we have what? 25,000.
164.
25,164 distinct value, right? If I go back, let me close that. If I go back and I say count the whole column, right? Remember that value, 25,164 is the total value there, right? But if I come here and I say count values, right? Look at it. We have 56,046, right? So out of that value, about 30,000 of it are duplicated values. So which means that each of the orders were duplicated values. There are orders that basically say that. Now, what does that mean? It means that the order, that is why if you look at the data, let's go back to the data, right? So let me see if we can make sense of that particular data so that we understand, right? So if you look at it, this is the order number, right? But we have order line item, right? Order line item is now saying that, so maybe you went to ShopRite and you bought 5 things, right? In that 5 things, each of the item in the 5 things are what's registered as a single order, but they are registered with the same order ID or the same order number. So you bought biscuits, you bought cornflakes, you bought peanut butter, you bought a drink and maybe a chewing gum, right? Now, all of these are in the same order, but when they are registered, because they are registered as different products, right? That's why it is called product line item, right? They are now duplicated. So you're saying that in this order, instead of grouping the orders together, right? The orders are now what? Are now separated one after the other, but with the same order name. That's why you have a whole lot of duplicated values in that data, right? So, but for when you want to see, right, when you want to see the count of your distinct values in your data, right? I've showed you, you go to transform, once again, go to statistics. And because the value is what is a character value, can you see it has SO in front of it? That's why all the numeric functions are grayed out. And only the count and count values are available, right? If you click on customer key take, for example, and you go to that, right, you see that all the functions are active and activated, right? So that is that. Let's see what else can we do to this data. Please let me know if you understood that before I move on.
I didn't get it at all. Oh, sorry, but
Which
okay,
one?
I'll watch it on
Which
the
part,
video.
man?
The SO.
No, which part?
Which
part don't you understand?
The order number thing, everything you were saying just now. Sorry, because I was also trying to open the various data.
All right. Right. That's please
tables.
Just listen again. Right. What I said was that we checked to see the what's it called? The count of distinct values in the order number, where they were 25,164. Then we checked the total count. The total count is the count of each values there, right? The total count is the count of each value there. The total count of total distinct count is the count of distinct values, right? So distinct value gave us what? 25164. The total count gave us 52,046, right? Basically, what I'm saying is that you have duplicated values in that data. That's what that means. Simple. Are you following me? You have duplicated value in that, duplicated values in the data. That's basically, and I was just trying to help us understand why there are duplicated values in the data, right? In this order ID, right, you have duplicated values. That's what we're saying. Does that make sense? We have duplicated values in this order number. In this order number, we have duplicated values in there. That's basically what I was trying to point out to us, right? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Awesome. All right, so I think we're good with this data as well. Okay, let's apply. Then we want to talk about hierarchies. Hierarchy. We want to talk about hierarchy. All right, so what is hierarchy? I hope you can write it down. Hierarchy reflects multiple levels of granularity. Hierarchy reflects multiple levels of granularity, sorry, right? It reflects multiple levels of granularity. What does that mean, right? There are some data that are in levels, right? Levels of granularity, levels of there's an order in their data, right? Hierarchy. Right, reflects multiple levels right? So what does that mean? If you look at your date, for example, in the date, what you have is you have a century. If you have a date like 2023, 24, 2023, 6, 24, right? What do you have in this data, right? The level of granularity in this data is that you have century, you have century, you have the year, you have the month, you have what? The day, right? So this is what we call hierarchy. This is what we call hierarchy, right? Hierarchy helps us perform or helps us drill down into data, right? So which means that if I have a data that has a level of granularity, that has hierarchy on it, right? If I attach or if I create hierarchy on that data, right, it helps me go deep into the data. Take, for example, what does that mean, right? If we look at an example like, say, I want to know how much sales was done in Lagos, right? I want to know how much sales I have in Lagos, was done in Lagos. But in the data, I have Africa, right? As part of the address, I have West Africa, I have Nigeria as part of the address, right? I have Lagos now as part of the address. So I want to know how much of sales came from Lagos, right? And this is my address, right? If this is my address, then what I just need to do is to what? Is to create a level of granularity, right? Which means that Africa is the first what? Africa comes first, West Africa comes second, Nigeria and Lagos. Such that if I want to visualize this on a map, right? I can go to Africa, I can go to Africa, then go to West Africa, go to Nigeria, and go to Lagos to be specific about it, right? We need that in the data, right? Anytime you have data that has levels of granularity, you want to be able to pay attention to that, right? You want to pay attention to that, right? Let us look at the territory data, right? You would see that there's some level of granularity in it. Let's look at it, right? If we look at it, we have continent, we have country, and we have region. First of all, what we want to do is to categorize this data. Are you following me? Right. The data at the moment is uncategorized. Right now, by default, these data are map data. Right, they are map data, which means that Power BI is going to use them when it wants to draw a map, a visual. Right, like want to use a map visual. Right, it's going to need them to be active or to be values that it can look for on the map. Are you following me? So Power BI needs that. So it needs that for, so how do we make it need to do that? Now, by default, right, Power BI does not need your help, right, because it's a very intuitive application, right? It would by default detect that these values are categorized data, right? It will categorize them by itself. But you can also take charge of that, right? If you select the continent, right, I can come to, now I'm in the data view, right? I can come to, the column tools, right? It will activate the column tools for you by itself. Then you can come to data category, right? Can you see? And you click on it. Can you see now? You can see all of that. Address, place, city, county, state, postcode, postal code, country, continent, latitude, and longitude, right? All of these are in hierarchy already, from longitude to latitude to continent to country to postcode, and so on and so forth. You can even use what? URL and web URL and image URL and barcodes, right? So in this situation, continent is continent. So I'm just going to click on continent. Now, can you see what happened to it? It has categorized it. Can you see that it created a map, a word map in front of it, on top of it, on just before it, right? I'm going to do the same for country, right? Country is also well stated out here, right? The continent are well stated out in my data. The country is also well stated out in my data. So I'm going to do the same for country. I'm going to make sure that I select country, not county, right? So I'm going to select country, right? It's going to put the map in front of it, the map icon in front of it as well. But if you look at the region is not well planned out. It's not well stated, right? You have regions like United Kingdom, Australia, Germany, France. Then we have north, southwest, southeast. So the data is not clean enough for us to be able to use region, right? It's not clean enough for us to be able to say that we want to attach, we want to categorize region as well, right? So basically, we're just going to leave region as that. That's one. Two, having done that, right? Having done that, I can now create an hierarchy. I can create hierarchy on this data, right? By just right-clicking on continent, I'll create hierarchy, right? Right-click on continent and create hierarchy, such that now I'm going to drag, or I'm going to just say add this to, okay, now continent is in my hierarchy, so I can add country, add to my hierarchy, continent hierarchy. Right, can you see? So inside my hierarchy now, I have continent and I have country. I also want to add region to it, right? So I'm going to select region, select the region, and say add to what? Add to continent hierarchy. Now, what it means is that when I want to use this data, when I want to work on territories, I don't need what's it called now? Let me see if I can move this down. No, okay. Right. I don't need the continent and country anymore. Are you following me? I don't need the continent and country anymore. This is all I need. Let me edit this to call it territory hierarchy. Right? Territory hierarchy. Are you following me? Can you see all of them are now inside of the hierarchy? So once I drag this into my visual, right, I'm able to see the continent, I'm able to see the country, I'm able to see the region. Does that make sense, right? I'll say that again. The essence of creating hierarchy is for you to what? So you to do multi-level granularity, right? Multi-level granularity, right? Such that if I click on continent, right? Before we added the territory, right? If I click on continent, I might not be able to see the country or the region because they are not, even though they are in the same data, right? They are not mapped together, right? But by creating hierarchy, right, it sort of maps them together. We can do the same for data. I'll show you how to do that for data as well, right? It sort of maps them together such that I can, by default, this is the major column that I have in that data, right? Apart from the sales territory key, right? Right. What you have would be that once I use this column, right, I'm using the three columns at the same time. I can see the continent, and from this continent, I can see the country. I can drill down to country, and I can drill down to what? To region. That is the essence of hierarchy. Please let me know if you understood that before I move on. Ask your questions on that before I move on.
Mr. Sharon,
Yes, ma'am.
please, can you retake from where you created the hierarchy?
All right, I'm going to delete the hierarchy now.
Please.
I'm going to delete the hierarchy and recreate it. All right. All right, so we have the territories data, which has 4 columns. What we have done is that we have categorized the continent and the country column. So I'm going to use the highest level of hierarchy, which is the continent. I'm going to use it as my hierarchy. So I'm going to say create an hierarchy on that data, right? Create hierarchy. I'm going to double click on that and say it is territory hierarchy.
So please, where are you writing that? I'm only seeing the table. I'm sorry.
The table. Can you see
I'm on
this?
the territories. I'm seeing Adventure Works territories. But where are you writing create in continent? I'm not seeing where you are doing.
You can't see my far right. Can you see my cursor? Can you see my cursor?
Okay, now I've seen it. Yes.
All right, awesome. All right, so that's territory hierarchy. So that's my hierarchy. So now I'm going to, so inside of it now, I have continents, right? So I want to add these 2 into it. The countries, I'm just going to right click on the country and say add to hierarchy territory. Then based on the levels now, right, I can say add to territory again, region. Right, you can even move them around, right? You can move them around. Okay, it's not moving. Oh wow, it's not moving. Okay, right. So basically, right, it's not moving as supposed to, but already they're in hierarchy. So region seems to be the smallest or the lowest level of the granularity, and continent seems to be the highest level of granularity, right? So that is what you have. So now, like I said, these first three, I don't need it anymore, right? If I want to do my analysis now, I can easily just drag this into whatever I want to do, and it will give me the 3 of them at the same time, or I'll be able to drill into them at once. That's basically what that does. Makes sense, right? Makes sense. Hello.
Yes, sir, it does.
Awesome. Now, one best practice before I bring in the calendar data, one best practice that I need you to, if you look at it, my table keeps refreshing. Anytime you do something, your Power BI refreshes. Anytime you do something, your Power BI refreshes, right? And it is refreshing to keep your data up to date, data consistency, data accuracy, and make sure that all the changes that you have made are accurate. But if you look at it, some of the data that we have here, they are not really changing. Are you following me? This data do not change. This data, nothing is happening on them, right? Let me show you, right? Take, for example, if you look at the product category, right, it's just 4 columns, for 2 columns and 4 rows, right? We're not adding anything to it. We're not subtracting anything to it. Product category, the same. Territory, same thing as well. So basically, right, what it means is that, does this table need to refresh? These 3 tables, do they need to refresh every single time we work with them, right? Do they need to refresh, right? Okay, so they don't need to be refreshed. That's basically what I'm trying to say. So if I want to exclude them from refreshing every time so that my Power BI can process faster, so what do? I'm going to go back to the to transform view. Oh wow, all right, go to transform. Now I can see all my queries here. I can see all my queries. So I'm going to look at, that's the category table, right? I'm going to right click on it. Are you following me? I'm going to right click on it. I'm going to say exclude it. Can you see include in refresh what report refresh? I'm going to just deselect that such that it is not, can you see it is not selected, right? I'm going to do the same thing for product subcategory as well. I'm going to exclude it from product refresh, right? If there's another table that, let me see, maybe, no, let me leave, right? Let me leave territories, right? So I've excluded two columns of two queries from my product refresh. Now, the reason why I'm not excluding product is because product has numeric values that can change or that we can use in calculations. So we want to refresh every single time, want that to be refreshed every single time. Customer is an ongoing table as well. It supports, is an active table that will probably get data inside of it all the time. Returns as well is an ongoing data, right, that probably gets data added into it, and so on and so forth. Of course, the sales as well. So we cannot exclude those from the report refresh, right? So tables that are static, basically, that's the word. We want to exclude static tables from your product refresh, right? Static, so that your data and your report can refresh faster. Are you following? So that your report can refresh faster. Are we there? I know I'm fast this night though. Am I too fast? Please let me know. Let's take a breather. Am I too fast? Hello, talk to me. Hello, am I too fast? Well,
You're fast. You're fast.
Mr. You're fast. Okay.
The one we don't understand, we take you back. You're fast, but we take you back if we don't understand.
All right. I'm going to slow down now, right? I'm going to slow. Madam Udwak, I've not heard from you. I've not heard your voice. Give me some joy, right? Right. Okay. Where is Sammy? Iceman Alpha. Don't unmute yourself. I know your mic is bad. Madam Susan, talk to me. All right, let me know. Biola, if you like get it, if you don't like get it, I'll give you blue. All right, Ebuka, am I too fast? Talk to me, people. Mr. Allowance, good evening. How you doing, sir?
Yes, sir.
I'm too fast, Abby. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay. Let's take a breather. Right. What part of what we have done don't you understand? Do you want me to retake? Right. What part of what we have done do you want me to retake?
Please, that hierarchy.
Okay.
Just show us step by step, sir. Thank you.
I should show us
Step by step, so that we can follow. You know, we keep seeing the data, but where you are working, I didn't see your cursor until you drew my attention to it. So maybe that's what happened for some other people.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Let me see. Let me see if there's hierarchy somewhere here. All right. Hierarchy. Okay, let's create another hierarchy, right? So step by step, right? I hope you understand, where everybody understood what hierarchy is, right? You understand what hierarchy is, let me know. I need people to let me know if you understood what hierarchy is. Okay, does that mean you understand? Okay, you understand. That's why she's raising her hand. Awesome. Okay, if you understand what hierarchy is, please raise your hand. Let me see. If you understand what hierarchy is, please raise your hand. Awesome. I have 2 people. Let me will not raise my hand like this. Oh, 3, 4, 5. Awesome. Madam Manu, are you there at all? Alaja. Ebuka. And I'm Susan Chidiato.
I'm here, sir.
I'm following.
But
Okay. All right.
I'm not up to date.
Don't really understand.
Everything is
Multiple levels of granularity.
Awesome. Awesome.
maybe when I watch the videos again, I'll be able to meet up.
Yes.
All right. All right. Okay. I'll slow down a little bit. I'll slow down. Don't mind me. Right. I was just scared about the volume of things that I still need to talk about. That's what is pushing me. Right. But I'll slow down. Right. I might extend the class a little bit by some minutes, right? Just bear with me. All right. So to create hierarchy, right? We know that hierarchy is from Oga to Omoshe. That's basically what that means, right? So in organizations, right, if you want to do hierarchy, it will be from CEO to VP or vice president, these things, right? Down the line like that to the last person, right? So it's the same thing we're trying to do here. If you look at your data, right? If I have a data, okay, let me see. Let me bring in another data, right? Let's use another data. Let me see if we can engage your last day one, please. Now, right? Let's see if we can engage another data, calendar. All right, so I'm going to bring in calendar. Right, just follow me. Let me look at the calendar if I can leverage it for hierarchies. All right, so this calendar data is just the calendar data. So I'm just going to click on transform. Let's change it to. All right, so we change that to AW calendar. Right, so the data is a date data. Right, now I want to extract. Right, it's just one single column. Right, I want to extract some values from this data. We've already done that before, so I'm going to go to add column. Right, add column from dates. I'm going to go to dates. Right, I want to extract the year. Right, I'm going to extract the year. Right, that is the year. I'll click on the date again. I'm going to extract the month. Right, I'll select data again. I'm going to extract the day. Right, so that is the month, the year, the day. Right, let me close and apply. Let's go to, although I'm not done with the data, I just want to show you hierarchy. Just want to show you hierarchy. Right, so the calendar data is coming in. Right, the calendar data is here. Are we there? So can you see our calendar data now? I hope everybody can see the screen. I hope everybody can see the screen, right? So these data, right, I'm going to click on them one after the other. I'm going to remove, do not summarize. I've told you how to do that already. Do not summarize. Do not summarize as well. For month as well, do not summarize. Right, year as well, do not summarize. Don't summarize. All right, now, because these data are what elements of the same data, right? They are elements of what's it called now? The element of the dates. Are you following me? These data are elements of the dates. I want to do an hierarchy with them, right? So that I can drill into the year and say that I want to go into the year. I'm going into 2016, and in 2016, I'm going into June, and in June, I want to see the total sales that was done on the 12th of June, right? All in one single glance, right? So I'm going to right-click on the year, which is the highest value of hierarchy. Are you following me? Click on the year. Now, can you see? So the year hierarchy is here already. The year hierarchy is there already. Right? So now I want to add what? So if I click on it, you can see that the year is inside already. Can you see the year? So I'm going to click on the next component, which is the month. I'm going to say add to year hierarchy. Right? Can you see year, month? Then I'm going to select the day and say add to hierarchy as well. All right. So what have we done? Right? The hierarchy is like we've grouped the whole data together such that instead of picking them one after the other in my analysis, once I just pick the are you following me? Are you following me? Right? So
yes, sir.
Yes. So what it means is that I've grouped the whole data together in their level of importance.
I didn't hear your voice at some point.
Just follow me. Right? Network is dealing with everybody. Just follow me. Right? So a hierarchy, we have created the hierarchy. Can you see? Now, this hierarchy basically is like grouping your data together, but in level of importance, right? Or level of, I don't want to use the word importance, but let's just stick with hierarchy, right? Such that once I use the hierarchy, right, what happens? Every other value comes with what? With it. The year comes with it, the month comes with it, the date comes with it. If I didn't do that, right, from here, they are individual data. Are you following me? From here, they are what? They are individual data from here, right? So which means that even though they are components of the same data, right? They are standalone in this place, right? They are standalone in this part. But now they are what? They are grouped together, right? And they can come together. That's basically what hierarchy is. Are you following me? Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Can I continue? Awesome. All right, so I'm going to go back to transforming this data. I still need some elements of that data. So I'm going to bring out, I want the day as calendar, right? So I'm going to select the date. I still want to add some columns, right? I still need the day, name of the day, right? Day name, right? I need the month name as well. Right? All of these you're going to replicate in your data. I need the start of the month. Right? I need the start of the week. Awesome. Right? Then I need the start of the year. All right, so you can see from one single data, we've been able to generate how many columns now? 9 different columns, or 8 different columns from one single data, right? So this data is good, right? I'm going to close and apply it, and I'll move on. All right, are we there? Can we continue? So that has brought us to the end of connecting and shipping data. So by now, You should be able to take control of your data and be able to shape it, right? Extract data from it and transform it and make it ready for your analysis. So already now we have all our data ready, right? We want to go into the next phase of Power BI, which is creating data models, right? I'm going to now, of course, it has by default created the relationships. So I'm going to delete all the relationships, right? I'm going to delete all the relationships so that we can recreate our data model, right? For those who have done Excel with me, right, we have done something similar in Excel, but if not, right, just pay attention. This is very important, right? So we want to talk about data modeling, right? So what is data modeling, right? What is data modeling? Data modeling is that object, right, or is that scenario where we have our data, right, housed in different tables, and we connecting these tables together to what? To be able to get full information across the table at a single glance, or through a query, right? We talked about this in Excel. We've talked about this in SQL, right? We talked about this when we're talking about SQL, right? And basically, we're going to build on the knowledge from SQL, right? The knowledge that we got from SQL is that when you are creating your table, right, you want to normalize your table, right? So what is normalization, right? I think I explained that in SQL, but I'm going to explain it again here for clarity purpose, right? Normalization is the process of organizing your tables and columns in a relational database to reduce redundancy and preserve data integrity, right? Let me type it out so that you can see, right? So we say normalization is the process of organizing tables and columns in a relational database, right? To reduce redundancy and preserve data integrity, right? This is what normalization is about, right? I'm going to explain it. I'm going to take my time to explain it so that we understand it, right? So normalization is the process of organizing tables and columns in relational database to reduce redundancy and preserve data integrity. You know that for fact, right, we can, all this data that we have in multiple tables here, they can all be in a single table. True or false? I need reply. All this data that we have in multiple tables here, they can all be in a single table. True or false? True or false? Right? Everything, all the data in one single table, right? But the question would be that, would that be an effective manner, or would that be an effective way of keeping data? And what you will discover is that in most businesses, you have all of your data in a single table, right? In Oracle, we call that a big table, right? A big table is basically a dump where you dump all your data in, right? It's a problem to find data out. Of course, you cannot even create an index on that kind of table. Remember, index in SQL, which helps you improve query performance, right? So what it means is that it's like you have a library, but instead of you structuring your library, you just pour all the data into the library, all your books into the library, right? So it's the same thing that you have. In most organizations, like I said, you have them storing all their data. So you have the same table that is the sales table is where all the product details is where all the product category is and all that. And what you know, before you know it, you have a table that has about 20, 50 something columns. But to really get the best out of your data, right, you want to create your data in a normalized form. What is this normalization? You want to be able to create your data in such that each data can each table is about a particular what data point. It's about a particular entity. Remember when we were talking about entity in the SQL, I said entity is real life data point, right? Subject matter, right? So you want to be able to look at your data and break it down into entities. I remember telling you that when we were talking about ER diagram, then that you have to be able to create your, look at your business process and see what is the business, what is this business all about? What are the things that I want to keep data about, right? And you break them down into different entities. Those entities, right, would help you manage your table or create a proper database. Are you following me? Now, why are we doing this? We're doing this so that you don't have data repeated all the time, right? Because if you have data repeated, right, it affects the state of your database, right? That's why we say it's what? It's a relational what? Relational database. It affects the state of what? Of your database. What happens is that you would have, your database will be slow, basically. Are you following me? Your database will be slow. Imagine that we have all of these tables all merged into one single table, and you are trying to find sales that was done on what? On the 12th of what? Of July 2016. What happens? You would have to go through a whole lot of data, and it's going to what? It's just going to be slow, basically. All right. You want to know what was sold on a particular day, right? And you have all the data in one single table, right? Of course, it's going to be slow, right? Hence, we create a normalize, or we normalize the database. Now, if you look at this database here, let's take this database as an example. This is a database, of course, right? Let's look at this database, right? Let me bring these tables together. If you look at it, you will see that each of these tables, right, they are about what? Certain things that are what? Peculiar to the business, right? Customers, product category, product subcategory, right? Didn't they lump them together so that there is no redundancy? So you have product categories, product subcategory, you have the product itself, right? These three tables can as well be joined together. But for what? For to eliminate redundancy, right? They have been separated, right? Calendar. Why did we create calendar? Calendar is just a table that contains dates. It's so that what? We don't rely on what? On the calendar, on the other what? On the other tables, right? Such that what? We have what? Redundancy. So we can easily what? On this calendar, you have what we call unique dates. You have unique dates, right? You have what? Look at it. You have returns table, right? And you what? And so on and so forth, right? So all of these, right? You will see that they're actually data that are peculiar to the business. Each of them was serving a particular purpose. But this is it about this data. Each of these data, they have what we call a primary key. Are you following? They have what we call what? A primary what? A primary key. They have what we call a primary key. For me, customer, or something there that I do not. Customer key, not summarize. Okay. Are you following me? Each of these table, right? And I mentioned that to us when we were talking about SQL, right? That your table, each of your table must have a primary key, because it is with this primary key that you are able to what? That you are able to link the tables together, which is where how we create the data models. Are you following me? Right? So if you look at this table has a primary key. This table has its own primary key. This table, product category, has its own primary key. This table, product, has its own primary key. Calendar has its own primary key. Returns has its own primary key. Territories has its own primary keys. And even sales has its own primary key. Now, with these primary keys, what have we done? We are able to link these tables together, right? So the essence of normalization is to eliminate redundancy. The redundancy will decrease the size of the table, right? It also improve the processing speed and an efficiency of each of your tables, right? Also, it will minimize errors in terms of updates. When you're trying to update your table, it will minimize errors. You will not be confused while updating the table, right? And of course, it will simplify your queries, right? It will help simplify your queries. That is why we create That's why we create normalization. There is what we call first level normalization, second level normalization. Those are just advanced theories on normalization, right? But normalization is normalization. You have to be able to normalize your table, right? And one way to normalize the table basically is to use constraints. Constraints is how we normalize the table. Constraints, especially the primary key constraint and the foreign key constraint, are how we normalize the table. Of course, having splitted the tables into its different components or splitted the data into its different components, you now want to give them uniqueness. You want to give them uniqueness so that this uniqueness can enforce redundancy, right? Can eliminate redundancy. I know that everything that I'm speaking looks very plenty English, but I'll show you, right? I'll show you. Are we there? Now, so we have this data, right? We have this data. Now, if you look at each of these data, like I said, they serve a particular purpose. But if you look at it, when I was teaching you Excel, right? For those who are not in my, the class I'm talking about, right? I don't want to mention the name of the company, right? Right. If for those you would mention or you would have seen, if you are my student, actually, you'd have heard this a million times, right? And I said that when you're looking at your table, who can tell? I said you should always look at your table from two perspectives. Who can tell? You should always look at your table from two perspectives. Who can tell? Anybody? Huh?
From lookup value and fact value.
Thank you. From lookup values and fact values, right? Look out. Yeah. From lookup values and fact values. I've always said that you should pay attention to your data in form of what? Lookup values and fact values, right? It's the same idea. And I told you that idea, you will take it everywhere, right? So look at it, we're in Power BI now, right? It's the same idea that I want to do. But instead of looking at them as lookup columns and fact columns, we're looking at them as lookup tables and fact tables. Fact tables are also known as data tables, right? So you would see that there are some tables in this place that are basically fact tables, or they are data tables, right? While some tables are just repositories, they are just descriptive in nature. These tables just take a particular entity and just keeps the data about the entity. But there are some tables in this data that now gets data from these entities. Let's take, for example, let's pick them one after another. I've told you how to break an entity down into its attributes, right? Which is what you have here. Look at customers, right? So we're saying that for every customer in this business, right? For every customer in this Prastata, right? They must have what? They must have an annual income. They must have a birthday, right? A customer key, a level of educational level, email address, first name, gender, gender description, homeowner description, income level, last name, marital status, the month name, and so on and so forth. Even though we have some columns that are not useful there, right? That we're supposed to clean up, right? Occupation, their prefix to their name, the start year, what's it called now? Total number of children, username, and year, right? So this just tells us a lot about the customers. Nothing special, just information about the customers, right? This here is what? Is a product category table, right? Product category table. What does this table tell us? It tells us about what? About the product, the category name of the product, and the category key, right? Product category key, product category name. So it means that every table, every data, right? Every product has a category, and those category has a key attached to it, right? We'll look at it as we proceed. Then we have what's the product subcategory. That is, these products now have a subcategory that they belong to, right? That tells us more about what? About the product, right? So we have the product category key, we have the product subcategory key, and we have the product subcategory name. Then we now have the product itself, right? We have the product itself. So the product, what we have is that we have the product subcategory key, the product style, the product SKU, and the product size. We have the product price. We have the product name. Come in. Right, we have the product name, right? right? So product SKU is product stock keeping unit, right? Stock keeping unit, right? Which store, which source store are we keeping it? Right? Product stock keeping unit. We have product size, we have product price, we have product name, we have product key, we have product description, the product cost, the product color, we have model name, and we have the discounted price. Right? We also have all of that being what information about product. Right? We have the calendar. Of course, we have the calendar just what containing details about the calendar column, right? About the date column. Then we have territories, right? Inside of here, what do we have? We have territory, the country, the continent, the region, and all of that. Then look at it. We now have these two tables, the sales table and the reports table. If you look at the sales table, let's take, for example, the sales table, right? What you see in the sales table is that it has customer key. The customer key on the sales table, we have seen that customer key somewhere before, true of us. Can you see? We have seen that customer key somewhere. So which means that this sales table does not really own this customer key. The customer key is coming from somewhere. It has order date, right? We have date column coming from somewhere that catches what? That catches the dates of transactions, right? We have the product line item, we have the product number, we have the product what's called ordered quantity. Now we have the product key, which is coming from the product table, right? Product key, and we have what we call the stock date, and we have the territory, right? Are you following me? Then we have returns, right? This is that products that are returned. This table contains products that are returned, right? After they have been sold, right? So we have the product key, we have the return date, we have the return quantity, and we have the territory. So basically, if you look at these two tables, they are actually what we call the data table or your facts table. These tables or these tables that you have here, they are actually what we call the lookup table because they are descriptive in nature. These tables are descriptive in nature. Even though the product, right, contains what the product price and product what discount and all that, it is still descriptive in nature. Even though some of the data there we can use them in calculation, right? But it still tells us more about the product, right? And here what we have is what is the facts table, right? That tells us information about the daily transactions on the sales table and of course on the return table. Now in this situation, what do? We need to be able to link the tables together such that by linking the tables together, we are able to create a model that we can use to fetch data or to query data across all the tables. That is the essence of data model. Such that instead of having all the tables in one single table, right, because they are now what entities related to each other, we have to be able to create that relationship between them such that we can what? We can do an analysis. Let me give you an example. If I go to my report view, right? Just follow me. If I go to the report view and I want to see a table, I want to generate a table from here just to see. I want to see the product name and the quantity ordered. I want to see products. I want to see quantity ordered for each product. Just follow me, right? I want to see quantity ordered for each product. Quantity ordered for each product. Now, I want to bring it out as in form of a table. So we have what we call a matrix. I'm going to use a matrix. Matrix is like a table, right? So I'm going to click on that, right? I'm going to click on that. Let's bring that. Let's bring that here.
Thank you,
All right.
Jesus.
Are we there? Can you hear me, please? Please let me know if you are following me, please. Please let me know if you are following me.
Yeah.
All right. All right. So I click on the matrix, right? I click on the matrix. Remember what I want to know is I want to know the product and the product name and the quantity ordered for each product. Remember that we don't have a model on the data yet, right? So if I go to product and I click on the product name, right? Can you see product name? right? That's my row. I put,
Hello,
can you
sir.
see it's still the same way you, yes, ma'am.
The system logged me out, so I didn't see what you were doing. Like 1 minute
You
ago.
just follow me. Just follow me.
Okay.
Right? Right. So we have product name. All right. Can you see product name now? These are all the products that we have. All the products. Can you see? All the products. That's what you have. Now, I want to see what quantity. Quantity what? The ordered what? The ordered quantity. Right? Where do I get the ordered quantity? I'm going to go to what? To sales table. Right? So if I click on ordered quantity and I drag that to values, right? See the same way that we have them in Power BI. Now, what did you see? What can you see? What can you see? Who can tell me what you can see? Anybody? What did you notice? Let's go. It's almost 9.
Go.
Huh?
Each of the sum of ordered quantity is the same figure for every
Thank
product.
you. Thank you. The sum of order quantity is the same for each product. And that is because there's no relationship between the two tables. So the product table does not know that the sales table exists. So what it just does is that the quantity order was just replicated for each product. Are you following me? The order table, the order quantity, sorry, was just replicated for each product, right? Because and the reason why it is replicated for each product is that it has to give values to each of them. It is in a tabular form. So it has to give values for each of them. That is why it was what populated that same value for each of the products. But what if we create a relationship between the product table, right, which we are using here, the product table and the sales table, right? Let's see. If I create a relationship, this is the product table. Are you following me? Right? If I create a relationship between the product table and the sales table, such that I drag the product key to the product key in that table. Let's see. Right. So what do we have? We have on this table, the product key here is the primary key, right? And on this table now is the foreign key. If we go back to that report view, what do you see? Can you see that it has adjusted the values? Because now the tables are what? They are linked to each other, right? Because they are linked to each other now, they can what? They can do, it's doing what we call a filter context, right? It filters the values based on it filters the order quantity based on the product name, because the tables are now what? They are linked together. So it's saying to the data, how many of these products, all-purpose bike stand, do you have in what? In the sales table? From the what? From the sales table. The sales table is asking the product table, how many of these orders did you process? Are you following me? How many of these orders do you process? Such that now we can now see the unique the unique sales count, right? Or the ordered quantity for each of the products. And of course, their grand total meaning is 84,174. Can you see the essence of what? Of data model. So this report is generated from what? From two different queries. Can you see? From two different queries. And that is the essence of data model. Data model is very important, right? It's very, 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 very important, right? So let's go back to our data model view and create models. So how do we create this data model, right? There are two ways to create data models. We have done this before in Excel, but we're going to do it again. There are two ways, right? There is the manage relationship form, right? Can you see? I can manage relationships here by clicking on this, right? The manage relationships allows you to, or it helps you to add, edit, and remove relationships between tables. Or I can simply identify the relationships between my tables and I just drag drag them to each other, right? Let me do something here. Let me bring this down. Sorry. Once comes here. Territory. Come here. Product category. Come here. Products. Come here. Now, what am I doing? I'm trying to create my model to look okay, right? Territories be here. What other table do we have? I think that's all. All right, products come up here. Now, what am I doing? Product category, and product subcategory. Awesome. All right, so let's have it like this. Now, my advice would be, right, this is now important note, right? My advice to you when you're creating your model, let me remove this model. Let me remove this so that we can create it accurately. Is that when you're creating your model, I did the same when we're doing Excel, is that you put your what? You put your fact tables or your data tables, you put them below, and you put your lookup values or your lookup tables, you put them above. Say that again. You put your what? Your lookup tables above, and you put your fact tables below, so that you can see the direction of flow. So that we can see what? So that we can see the direction of what? The direction of flow. What is the direction of flow? These guys are the tanks that these two tables are fetching data from. I'll say that again. Your lookup tables are the tanks which your what? Your fact tables or your data tables are fetching data from. Hence, the tank is always up. Does that make sense? Right? Now, let's identify. So here is the primary key on this table. Date here, even though date does not look like a primary key, date here is the primary key on this table, right? Date is the primary key on that table. This table, sales territory key, is what is the primary key on the table because it uniquely identifies each sales territory. On the product table, the product key is the primary key. Don't mind the order of that. Then the product category table has the product category key as the primary key. The product subcategory has the product subcategory as the primary key. Returns, let's see. Returns basically does not have a primary key. This is return quantity. This is product key. So it is fetching its data from multiple tables, and sales as well does not really have a primary key, right? So let us create relationships. So let us first of all create a relationship between our customer table and the sales table. So I'm going to click on manage. Now remember, I'm in the data model view. I'll click on manage. Right, we're familiar with this, right? So you can see once you click on auto detect, it can automatically detect, but sometimes it detects the wrong relationship. So I'm going to create on new. Are you following me? Right, I'm going to click on new. So I'm going to say that I want to have my sales table linked to my customers table. Right, you can see that automatically it selects the common column between the two of them. Please let me know if you are seeing what I'm saying. You can see that automatically the two common columns that we are using to link them together, the primary key, which is this, the foreign key, which is this, are both selected. So it automatically detects them. And it is telling us that the cardinality is many to one, which is that many of this to one of this. Now I've told us this again, that when you say many to one, it means that on the primary key table, right, the value appears just once. But on the foreign key table, right, it appears multiple times. So which means that each customer key on the primary key table they appear once, because they tell us more about the primary key table. Can you see? I mean, about each customers. But on the sales table, right, they can appear multiple times, right? They appear multiple times because it means that the customer bought things multiple times, right? So now we also want to make this relationship active. We'll talk about that later. And the cross filter direction is it's a single directional relationship. Let us see. If we say that relationship has been created, so if we say okay, close. Where is the relationship coming up? Right? Can you see? Can you see the relationship? Right? So many, the customer key here is what? Is unique here, right? One, it appears one time. Each of them appear one time. But on here, it appears what? Many times. So when you see many, you see that asterisk. When you see one, it means that what is the primary key. So primary key here becomes what? Foreign key here, right? So when you put your cursor on it, you can see the two columns what selected like that, right? Let me know if you understood that. Let me know if you understood that before I move on to creating the rest. Let me know if you understood that. Are we there? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, we are here. We understand.
Awesome.
Yes,
Awesome.
sir.
Awesome. Now, that is one way to do that. So using the manage what? The manage function. That's kind of stressful, right? So what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to now begin towards to drag, which is the second one. Right? The second one is that on my table here, I have dates. On my table here, I have two dates here. The order date and the stock date, right? So I'm going to drag these dates to dates. Right? Can you see? One to what? One to many. The date here is one. The date here appears many times. I'm going to also drag the stock date to date as well. Right? One to what? One to many. Now, what do you notice? You would notice that one relationship is active and the other is not active. Can you see? One relationship is with dotted lines and the other is with straight lines. I'm going to come back to that. I'm going to explain that to us, right? Let's look at the next one. Territory key, right? I'm going to drag territory key to what? To sales territory key. Territory key to sales territory key. Right? Also have a one-to-many relationship in that situation, right? What else? Right? So we have the product key, right? We drag the product key as well to the what? To product key. Can you see? Product key. So we can see that the sales table is attached to 5 different tables. Right? Now, then if you look at it now, the product is attached to what? To the product table. Right? But the sales table, no, sorry, the sales table is attached to the product table. But the product table, the sales table does not have a relationship with either the product category and the what? The product subcategory. I want you to listen to this very carefully. This table, right, does not have what? Relationship. So which means that I can say I want to see the total quantity or the total order value by what? By products for each product, right? I can see the name of the product and the order quantity, right? But what we might not be able to see is that I might not be able to see the category because there is no way to link the sales table to the product table. There's no way to link to the product category table. There's no way to link the sales table to the product subcategory table. So in this situation, we use what we call a snowflake schema. A snowflake schema. Don't mind the name. The name looks magical. A snowflake schema. Actually, in creating your models, there are 2 ways to create your models. All right. We are people who want to go and use these things in. It's not. We don't need the theory, but I'm just going to explain it. Right. There are 2 ways to create your schema. The first way is what we are doing here. Right. This that we created here is what we call a star schema. Right. STAR, star schema. A star schema, what you have in a star schema is that you have your individual lookup table, right, surrounding the what? The facts table or your data table, right? So you have your individual, is like putting this guy in between all of them, right? Let me just show you. Like putting the sales table. It's like putting the sales table in between all the tables, right? Can you see that it's looking like a star now, right? A star boy. Right? This is a star schema. Can you see? I think we should even leave it this way, sir. Right? Let's leave it this way. Awesome. This is really nice. Right? Aha. So this is a star situation. Right? This is a star schema situation. The what? The lookup tables are surrounding what? The facts table or this data table. Can you see? Right? But because, let me put this below it here, right? But this sales table, this product table needs to what? So the sales table is not connected to what? It's not connected to these two tables. So how do we connect them? We now use what we call a snowflake. A snowflake is that we're now what? We now need to use what? Other tables to link the two tables together. Right? We need to use other what? We need to use some other tables to link this sales table with these two tables. Are you following me? We need to use other tables to link these two tables together. So what does that mean? I want to look at what is the relationship between product and product category. What is the relationship between product and product category? So if you look at it, on the product table, I have what we call, on the product table, I have product category. On the product category table, sorry, I have product category key. Do I have something like that on the product table? No. So, but on this table, I have what we call what? The product category key. Are you following? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag this product category belongs to what? Belongs to the product category table. But here it is what? Is a foreign key. So I'm going to drag this to this. Right? Now, so the product category is now linked to what? To the product subcategory. Can you see? So the product key is what? Is the product category key what? Is unique here. But here it is what? It is multiplex. Let's look at it. Let's look at it in form of data. Right? Let's look at it in form of data so that we get what we're saying. It doesn't have to be. Let's look at product table. Let's product category. We have 4 categories: bikes, components, clothing, accessories, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. That is, can you see product category key? Product category key is what? Is just 4. But if we look at product subcategory, right? Can you see the product category? Can you see is duplicated? So all these are bikes, all these are what? Are components, all these are accessories and all that. Can you see? Right? Can you see? So can you see that they are linked together? Right? That's what we're saying. Now, if you look at it now, the product table and the product subcategory, they have a column in common, which means that the product category table, this product subcategory key is a primary key on the product subcategory table, but it is what? It is referenced on what? On the product table. So I'm going to link this table, this column to this column, or that table to that table using that column. So what do you see? You'll see that we have created what we call a star flake, or a snowflake, sorry, a snowflake, right? So what it means is that how is the what? How is the sales table connected to the product category and product subcategory? They are connected through what? Through the product table. So you can see that there is a link between the tables to what? To the product category. Does that make sense? Please let me know if it makes sense. Let me know if it makes sense. If it makes sense, let me know. Let me know. Let me know. Let me know if it makes sense. Let me know if you understood what I just said. It's making sense. Awesome. Yes, Mr. Allowance, you are doing well. By the way, Mr. Allowance is my old student. He knows these things. Don't mind him. All right.
I need to start this one all over again.
All right. Talk to me, people. Talk to me. Talk to me. Madam Olakweju, are you following? Madam Solomon, you are too quiet. Talk to me. Ebuka, Madam Anu. Oh, Mama. Awesome. Mama is following. Madam Udwak, are you following? Let me know. Let me know. Let me know. Madam Olaide, Madam Susan.
Yes, I am.
Iceman. Awesome. Awesome.
Yes, I.
Awesome. Awesome. You have done your. Awesome. It's interesting. It's interesting. Hello. Abi is not interesting.
It interests you, sir.
It is interesting. It is. It is.
Awesome.
But we need to go through it all over.
Yes, yes. It took me time to master too, so you have to take time to master it, right? You have to take time to master it. Let's go over it again. Let's go over it again with the returns table. Right, let's go over it again with the returns table. So the returns table basically is the data that tells us that product. Yes, talk to me, ma.
Okay, Mr. Shan, the question I have is that naturally, when you go to this I don't know what's this particular part, the
Model view.
ER table, the model
Okay,
view,
the
yes.
model view.
Automatically, yes, automatically the link had been created.
Yes, that is because Power BI is intuitive, it automatically detects relationships. Right. So if you look at mine,
so
I deleted all the relationships before I started creating mine.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So by just right clicking, if you right click on each of the relationships, you can delete them. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Awesome. All right, so let's go over it again. Let's go over this relationship again. Today we'll just talk about data model. Then I will charge you to go and create your data model. Then I will send you, in fact, I don't need to send you, maybe just a few people I will send the data to. We have a data called sales table, sales data executive. Can you remember that data? Right, you will now create a project on that data, doing everything that we have done. I'll give you a business case to solve. Right, that will be the assignment for the week. Right, but of course, you have to create your models and create all the things that I've created, the transformation, the connection, all the things that I've done. You have to replicate it, right? So you watch the video to be able to replicate it, because this model is what we're going to use in the next class. So you have to have it. Right. So the returns table now, right? If you look at the returns table has a product key, right, which we know belongs to the product table. So we're going to link that to the product table. So the question is now, be careful how you are linking them, right? The direction is important. The direction is what? The direction is important. That's why I did not use what? That's why I said that when you are creating, even though I'm showing you how the star looks like, how the star schema looks like, right? It is not the encouraging way, because you need to be able to see the flow. Right, so you can see that the flow is that, can you see the arrow? Can you see the arrows? The arrow is coming from the lookup data to what? To the, what's it called now? To the data table or to the facts table. Can you see that arrow should not go the other way, right? It should be from the tank to the bucket, 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 right? From the tank to the bucket. Right, from the tank to the bucket, from the tank to the bucket. So you can see tank to bucket, tank to bucket, tank to bucket, right? So it's the same thing that we have here. So product key is what's going to product key. We will need to know where the source is. So you connect the destination to the source. So I'm dragging from the destination to the source. I'm dragging from the bucket to the tank. Right? So return date. Right, return date is my calendar. So I click on return date, I drag it towards to date as well. So that relationship can be created as well. Awesome. Right. Return quantity, no. Territory, right? I drag territory to sales, to sales territory. All right. Now, what do you see? We have a fully developed data model. All my tables are connected to each other now, right? So if I go back to my data view, right? If I go back to my data view, I can now see, hold on. All right, good. I was expecting it to reactivate itself. All right, so now I can see that I have what my sum of product name. I can see product name. I can see my sum of what ordered quantity. I can see my order quantity, right? That's my order quantity, right? Now I can go to returns and I want to see what I want to see return quantity, right? So I'm going to add return quantities to values as well, right? So for every single product, I can see the return. Right. 1 minute. All right, good. That did not show up. All right, so for every single product, right? For every single product, I can see what was returned for it, right? So we sold this total number of 84,174 and 1,828 was what was returned. So you can see what was returned for each product, right? Because why? The tables are linked to each other. Does that make sense? Planning to round up now. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Can you please go over how you drag it to this table?
What do you say?
Can you go over? Can you quickly how you drag this the last one, the sum of return quantity into this
right
table?
You just drag. It's the same thing that you have in pivot table. Can you see field, you have rows, you have columns, you have values. Can you remember, right? In pivot table, so it's the same thing. So you just drag. What is it?
I say yes, sir. It's the same way.
Exactly. So you just drag the return quantity to values, right? I've taught you that, right? I've taught you that your descriptive columns or this descriptive data goes to rows or column. Then what's it called now? The values, the fact values goes to what? Goes to values. So that's what you have there.
Numeric
Nothing special. Yes, your numeric values, exactly. Mr. Allowance, you're doing well. You're doing well. I'm happy you remember all these things.
Thank you, sir.
Awesome. Right? So this is basically, right, data model in Power BI explained. Woo. Any question? Any question? Any question? We've come to the end of class today, right? So that we can prepare for church tomorrow. Come to the end of class today. We'll shoot an extra 13 minutes, right? So I would send your assignment to us in class. If you have questions, please ask me this time to ask questions. Let me save my project so that we can use that the next time. Right. So now I'm saving my model is saved now, right? So you can see my beautiful model, right? This is it. So if you look at it, this is what we created in this is the same thing we created with. I mean, if you have not done the last assignment from SQL, right? In fact, maybe we don't have data for it. Okay, we created data for it. So maybe we'll even bring that. Yes. Remember, we'll bring that data also into Power BI, even though we just have five rows in each of the tables, right? So I know we have assignments. So we have 2 assignments this week. Yeah. And there's holiday this week. Thank you. Yes, we use the holiday to do assignments. Hey, sorry, don't punish me. Right? So 2 assignments, the sales table and the last assignment, and that will force everybody to do the assignment. The sales table, we're going to do the sales executive data. I'm going to send the assignment to us tomorrow, not this night. Me too, I want to rest. Right? This is my 3rd class today. Right? The sales table, the sales data executive table, we'll work on that. And the last assignment, that schema that I gave to you to develop out into data, we'll also bring it into Power BI. And you create the relationships in Power BI. Now, one thing that I want to explain at the end that I just remembered, right? Look at this situation, right? This table, all right, if you look at it, what's that? Now, this table has, I linked two, what was it called? I linked 2 columns here from the sales table to a column here on the calendars table. And one of them is active, one of them is inactive. Let me show you. This is an active relationship. If you double click on any of the line, you can manage relationship that way. Can you see it's what? It's an active relationship. We say okay. If you look at the second one, if I double click on it, right, it will give me right. Can you see? It's saying what? It is inactive, right? It is inactive. So if I click on it to make it active, can you see? It says you cannot create a direct active relationship between AW sales and calendar because an active set of indirect relationship already exists between these tables. To make this relationship active, set the cross filter direction to single, delete or deactivate any of the indirect relationship first. So basically it's saying that you cannot have two active relationships between two tables. You cannot have the relationship between two tables. You cannot have two active relationships between them. You cannot have two active relationships between two tables. One of them, you can create it, but one of them can only be active at once. So which means that if I want to make this active, I need to first of all, that is the order date to date. I need to first of all deactivate that. If I deactivate that and say okay, right, I can now come to this, right? Can you see both of them are now inactive? I can now come to stock date to date and make that active. Right? Can you see? So this is now active, right? So if I want to reverse back, I just double click on that again. I make it inactive. Say okay. And I go to this and I make this active. Sorry, it's coming up, right? So I make this active now. Okay. All right. So any question? Any question? Any question? Right. I would upload the videos this night by God's grace so that you can have it to work with during the week. Right. Please help me reach out to every other person. Today's attendance is very low. It might be network, it might be whatever it is, right? But just let's reach out to everyone that was not in class. I'll also reach out to them. All right, if there are no questions, thank you for coming. I hope we had a great class. If you had a great class, right, just show me a show of hands. Let me see. If you had a great class and you understood at least to percent of 70, 80% what we did in class today, please raise your hand. Oshe. Are doing well. Wow. That makes sense. Right? That makes sense. Ebuka, you did not understand what we did today, Abi. By cash. Madam Udwak. Madam Olapoju.
I'm here.
Trust you. All right. Thank you, everyone, for coming. If you have questions and you don't want to ask me,
Thank you too.
slide into my DM and come and ask me. When you are coming, bring money. God bless. All right. Thank you for coming. Just joking, don't mind me.
Thank you.
Just joking. Thank you for coming. Thank you for attending.
Yes, sir.
Do have a wonderful